Councilmember Tran?
Here.
Councilmember Dovin?
Present.
Councilmember Klopfenstein?
Here.
Councilmember Nguyen?
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Bredegum?
Here.
And Mayor Jones.
Here. May I ask Assistant City Manager Maria Stipe to do the invocation, followed by Pledge of Allegiance by Mayor Pro Tem Bredegum?
Thank you. If everybody could please stand and prepare yourselves according to your faith. Dear Lord, we ask that you would be with us tonight as we seek to embrace and address the needs of our community. We also humbly ask that you guide us to answer those needs so that we may achieve the very best outcomes for the citizens of Garden Grove. Amen.
Amen.
Please face the flag, hand over heart. Indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Justice for all.
Gotta work on our pledge game. We always do it slow, but very timely. It's cute. All right. With that, we will break over to the Housing Authority, and so I'll hand it over to Chair Bredegum.
Sure. Get up here. Okay. Madam Clerk, can you call roll?
Commissioner Beckles?
Here.
Commissioner Dovin?
Present.
Commissioner Jones?
Here.
Commissioner Klopfenstein?
Here.
Commissioner Tan Nguyen?
Yeah.
Commissioner O'Neill?
Here.
Commissioner Tran?
Here.
Vice Chair Kim Nguyen?
Here.
And Chair Bredegum.
Here. Okay. We will open up oral communications. This is specifically to the Housing Authority. I don't see any cards, but is there anybody in the audience who would like to address the Housing Authority? Okay, see none, we will close oral communications. Move on to consent. Entertain a motion.
I'll move the consent calendar.
We have a motion.
I'll second.
Second. Let's call for the vote.
Commissioner Beckles?
Yes.
Commissioner Dovin?
Yes.
Commissioner Jones?
Yes.
Commissioner Klopfenstein?
Yes.
Commissioner Tan Nguyen?
Yes.
Commissioner O'Neill?
Yes.
Commissioner Tran?
Yes.
Vice Chair Kim Nguyen?
Yes.
Chair Bredegum?
Yes.
Motion received, 9 yes votes.
Okay. And we will move on to public hearings. 3A.
Item 3A is adoption of the annual plan for fiscal year 2023 for the Garden Grove Housing Authority, and Mr. Nguyen is here to give that report.
Good evening, Chairman, Commissioners. The item before you tonight is the 2023 annual plan for the Section 8 Housing Choice Voucher Program. The plan is a comprehensive guide to the Housing Authority policies, operations, and strategies in meeting local housing needs and goals. The Housing Authority is required to submit this plan to the Department of Housing and Urban Development prior to April 17th. In 2019, the Housing Authority received a CMAP score of 100%. CMAP is a combination of self-audit and data submission to HUD that measures the performance of the Housing Authority. A score of 100% qualifies the Housing Authority as a high-performing agency. Due to the COVID pandemic, CMAP was waived by HUD over the past several years, and the Housing Authority was able to maintain the rating as high performer. And as a high-performing agency, we are only required to complete a streamlined format of the plan. A resident advisory board comprised of 6 tenant participants of the Housing Choice Voucher Program have reviewed the plan, and their comments are attached. The public hearing has been properly noticed on January 4th and the 11th. It is recommended that the Housing Authority Commission conduct the public hearing, adopt the 2023 annual plan, and authorize the director to certify the Housing Authority annual plan. That concludes my report, and I'm available for any questions.
Any questions of staff? Okay, seeing none, we'll entertain a motion.
You have to open.
Oh, I'm sorry, we gotta open it up for public comment. Does public like to, anyone here would like to comment on the adoption of the annual plan for fiscal year 2023? Okay, seeing none, we will close the
I'll move it.
I'll second it.
second, call for the vote.
Chair Bredegum?
Yes.
Vice Chair Kim Nguyen?
Yes.
Commissioner Tran?
Yes.
Commissioner O'Neill.
Yes.
Commissioner Tanwin.
Yes.
Commissioner Jones.
Yes.
Commissioner Kloffenstein.
Yes.
Commissioner Beckles. Commissioner Dovin. Motion received, 9 yes votes.
Okay, do we have any matters? Okay, seeing none, we will adjourn. The next regular Housing Authority meeting scheduled for Tuesday, April 25th, here at the Community Meeting Center. Back to council.
Alrighty, thank you. We will reconvene city council, and before we go to presentations, I'd like to go out of order and bring forward consent item 3A as it pertains to our community spotlight. Can I bring forward 3A and make a motion to approve?
I'll second.
All right, call the vote.
Motion received, 7 yes votes.
I'm gonna pause for 1 second. You good? We good? Okay. Presentations, item 1A, Community Spotlight in recognition of David Skelton and Janice Skelton for being named Cypress College 2023 Americana Awards Garden Grove Citizens of the Year. Yeah, please come forward.
Okay, this evening, the Garden Grove City Council pays tribute to a very special couple whose meaningful work in the community has earned them the prestigious title of Garden Grove Citizens of the Year from the Cypress College 2023 Americana Awards. Congratulations. Each year, Cypress College honors citizens from the 8 surrounding cities that form the college's primary service area at their annual Americana Award ceremony. Award recipients are chosen based on their humanitarian, philanthropic, and partnership efforts within their communities. And married for 18 years, David and Janice have dedicated their lives to volunteerism and service to Garden Grove. They are both involved in the Garden Grove Chamber of Commerce, the Garden Grove Elks Lodge, the Garden Grove Emblem Club, the Garden Grove Strawberry Festival Association, and if that's not enough, the Miss Garden Grove pageant. So thank you for your service.
Thank you.
David is a supporter of the Garden Grove Chamber of Commerce, and Janice has been a board member of the Women's Division of the Garden Grove Chamber of Commerce for 15 years and has served as secretary for 9 years. David is a longtime member of the Garden Grove Elks Lodge, number 1952, where he served as president in 2005 and received the Elk of the Year Award in 2019. He has been instrumental in many projects, such as helping establish bingo to raise funds for the community and coordinating the Christmas basket program to help support over 200 local families during the holiday season. Janice has been a member of the Garden Grove Emblem Club, number 279, for over 40 years, where she served as president in 2021. Through her involvement with fundraising efforts, she has been able to donate over $25,000 to local organizations like Hope and the Gem Theater. David and Janice's passion and spirit of service have been recognized by the service clubs that they represent. They both received Silver Spoon Awards from the Women's Division of the Garden Grove Chamber of Commerce for their community involvement and volunteerism. And at this time, the mayor and city council would like to present David and Janice Skelton with a resolution in recognition of their selection as 2023 Garden Grove Citizens of the Year. The city congratulates them for their well-deserved achievements and commends their noble efforts in bringing out the very best in our community. Congratulations.
Passing over here. There's one more over here, too. Do you need it restarted? Oh, you got it? Okay.
Yeah, got it.
Now you gotta make a speech.
Don't you don't want to be first, Janice?
I want to say thank you, thank you, thank you. We are so proud and humble to accept this award and really, really appreciate it. Again, thank you.
Yeah, I'd just like to thank the committee that's put our names in to be this award, the City Council for supporting the Cypress College Americana Awards, and our special host and the escort, John O'Neill, for being there with us at the awards at the Disneyland Hotel. It is, I looked at the book and some of the past honorees to get this. I've known a lot of those members over the years in this city, and I was just humbled that we are in that crowd today. So it is actually a great honor, and I wish to thank all of you for that. Thank you very much.
Thank you, guys.
Well, I did bring my own press.
All right, we're going to go on to consent items, but I would like to pull items 3B and 3C first, if we can.
I'll move, or second.
Yeah, we're going to come back to that. I'm sorry.
Okay, go ahead.
Sorry, you're
No.
right, but we're going to come back to that. I want to do 3B and 3C out of order, just so we can recognize a
They're
few
here.
people. So do we
I
get a
gotcha.
motion for 3B and 3C?
I'll second it.
Okay, call to vote.
Motion received, 7 yes votes.
All right, and I'll just highlight that 3B was adoption of a proclamation celebrating April as Arab American Heritage Month. And we just took action on that, but we do have some folks here and a proclamation that we'd like to present.
Madam Clerk, Mr. Mayor, I believe that they may not have actually.
They're here.
come.
They're
Are
here.
they here?
They're
Oh,
here.
I think you have their
okay.
names.
I'm sorry. Oh, please come forward. I'm so sorry.
Got it. Yeah, I'd like to ask, Rashad Aldavat, Arab American Civic Council Executive Director, and Jose Serrano, World Relief Southern California Community Engagement Director and Arab American Civil Council Board Chair, and also Mahmoud Makhlouf, owner of Crimson Coward Hot Chicken in Garden Grove.
Yeah.
Just want to get the equipment out of the way. Oh, I can't. Okay. Perfect. Oh, yeah. Here. Okay, let me stand up.
Oh, that's the important one there.
Mayor,
Thank you so much.
Mayor.
Thank you so much. We are really happy to be part of this community. We came to Crimson Towers to be in business for 4 months. And again, thank you everybody. job.
Opening day.
Yes, yes, thank you. So much. Thank you, everyone. Thank you. Congratulations. Nice evening. Thank you.
Mayor, if I can, just say a second. Yeah, I just want to highlight, I'm very honored and proud to finally be able to present this proclamation during an actual council meeting. I do want to say that we've had this on the books for many years now. I agendized it quite a long time ago. And the mayor and I have had the privilege of attending their celebrations, which have historically been in the city of Garden Grove at our various hotels. So I just want to be so happy and honored to have them here today that we could actually present it to them in a physical copy prior to their event. So thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much.
All right, and one more, since we're on a roll. We already took action on 3C, and I'd like to ask Martha Torres, Community Engagement Liaison with the Fair Housing Foundation, if you could please come forward. And we would like to present a proclamation recognizing April as Fair Housing Month as well. So hang tight, I'll come right up.
So I'm actually Cristina Prado. I'm one of the outreach coordinators with Fair Housing Foundation, but thank you for this.
Yeah, thanks for coming.
Let's get a photo. I'll give you a photo credit.
1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2.
Thank you. All right, so thank you very much to the City of Garden Grove for acknowledging Fair Housing Month and for issuing this proclamation. We are celebrating April as Fair Housing Month, so for those who aren't aware, and thank you for just acknowledging its importance and for giving us this opportunity to get to celebrate Fair Housing Month along with the City of Garden Grove. We're proud to represent the City of Garden Grove as their fair housing provider. We are Fair Housing Foundation. I don't know if I mentioned that, but we look forward to another year of working together. Thank you very much for this proclamation.
Alrighty, that concludes presentations. We'll go on to oral communications. I do have a fair number of cards this evening. 3 minutes per speaker when you come forward, and we'll start with Nicholas Dibbs.
Mayor Jones, members of the council, I will be giving each of you a letter from Congressman Mike Levin, that was received by Craig Durfee, who cannot be here. And he is talking about the Kids Online Safety Act. As a father of 2 children, I strongly support protecting minors' mental health and online activity. That's why I'm proud to support legislation such as the Children and Media Research Advancement Act, which would require the National Institutes of Health to fund research on the effects media is having on cognitive and emotional development of infants and young children. We must ensure the safety of young people, especially while they are online. This is an example of what I've been trying to say in the past, and why we need a youth advisory, digital wellness and digital literacy commission or group. The Surgeon General did an interview on CNN on January 28th, and I just want to play a short clip from that.
What is the right age for a child to start using social media? I worry that right now, if you look at the guidelines from the platforms, that age 13 is when kids are technically allowed to use social media. But there are 2 concerns I have about that. One is, I personally, based on the data I've seen, believe that 13 is too early. And I think that it's a time, early adolescence, where kids are developing their identity, their sense of self. It's a time where it's really important for us to be thoughtful about what's going into how they think about their own self-worth and their relationships. And the skewed and often distorted environment of social media often does a disservice to many of those children. But the other concern I have is that these rules around age are inconsistently implemented. We have some of the best designers and product developers in the world who have designed these products to make sure people are maximizing the amount of time they spend on these platforms. And if we tell a child, use a force of your willpower to control how much time you're spending, you're pitting a child against the world's greatest product designers, and that's just not a fair fight. And so that's why I think our kids need help. And what we need, which we don't have right now, is we need transparency from social media companies as to the impact that their platforms are having on kids and which kids are being adversely affected. We also need safety standards, which we don't have. In my house right now, the vast majority of products that we buy, that I use, had to meet some sort of safety standard in order to be sold. That is not true in general of social media, and that is something we have to fix.
Okay, so I'm renewing the call that this city do something to help protect the kids. The data is there. The Surgeon General just came out with a report protecting youth mental health. So I urge the mayor and the council to have a digital wellness and digital literacy youth advisory committee. Each of you get a copy of the letter from Congressman Mike Levin. Thank you.
Thank you. Caroline Meda. Carolyn or Caroline?
Caroline.
Okay.
Good evening, Garden Grove City Council men and women. My name is Caroline. I'm a graduate nursing student at the University of San Francisco. Over the past few months, I've been working with Waymakers as a coalition member to help multi-unit housing complexes in Garden Grove become smoke-free. As a future nurse, I am passionate about protecting community members from the dangers of smoking and secondhand smoke. During my time as a nursing student, I have cared for patients who have suffered from the long-term consequences of smoking and secondhand smoke. Patients exposed to tobacco smoke are at significant risk for cancers, asthma, and other chronic lung conditions that affect their quality of life and require ongoing treatment. To prevent these diseases, we must focus on preventing people's exposure to second and third-hand smoke. In doing so, we will decrease the risks of lung disease and therefore improve the well-being of our community. As a Waymakers Coalition member, I have spoken with Garden Grove residents, multi-unit housing complex owners, firemen, veterans, and previous smokers who agree that a smoke-free policy, especially a voluntary one, for multi-unit housing complexes would greatly benefit the city. Most residents support this policy, as we have seen from the survey we conducted. Through our coalition outreach work, we were able to provide educational materials to a multi-unit housing complex owner who owns multiple complex sites located in Orange County. Thankfully, the owners agreed to implement a voluntary smoke-free policy at their complexes. With such a wonderful success, it made me wonder how we could help more owners and managers follow in their footsteps. How many more complexes would make this positive change if voluntary smoke-free policies were promoted on a citywide level? As city council members, we need your help. You're in a unique position of influence, and by taking action on this issue, you're prioritizing the health and safety of your community. Therefore, as a future nurse and Orange County resident, I urge you to prioritize the issue of smoking in multi-unit housing complexes. I believe the city should promote a voluntary program to encourage smoke-free multi-unit housing in Garden Grove. Thank you.
Jonathan Govson.
Hello, good evening, members of the City Council and Mayor. My name is Jonathan Garzon. I'm currently serving my second term as a co-chair of the Tobacco and Vape-Free Orange County OC, which Waymakers OC is a current coalition member and has been a member for a long time. And throughout my time serving as a co-chair, I have noticed, as many of us here throughout the last 2-3 years, the rise of vape tobacco use has increased, not only among our residents, but specifically among our youth. You know, high school students, I'm hearing a lot of stories, as I'm sure you are, of students uptaking tobacco and vape use. And they've been using it in the restrooms, and it's become an overall issue. And you know, as a coalition, we want to respond to these concerns. And so we've organized an event that's going to bring together some resources, because we believe a lot of this is tied to mental health. But the reason why I'm here is because we want to make sure that that students are safe at home primarily, right? And a lot of our students, specifically some of those in the lower socioeconomic status neighborhoods, tend to live in multi-unit housing where they don't have control over who is living next to them. Oftentimes, who's doing something in their apartment that may cause harm not only to that individual, right, but to the whole community as a whole. And I've noticed, you know, as a community resident, that tobacco and vape use, you know, it sticks to the walls. It's not something that just disappears. This vapor is kind of a myth. It's not really a vapor. It's another form of a toxin that leaves behind harmful chemicals. And aside from that, I'm also, outside of my role as a co-chair, I'm a community health educator at a local cancer center. And so we know that there's an increase and an uptick in cancer cases. And we know that cancer is, you know, one of the leading causes of cancer is the use of tobacco use. And so it's increasing, and we want to address the overall issue, right, which is reduce and make our communities healthier by reducing smoking in our housing and reducing vape use among our youth and making our community healthier. And so I just want to let the city council, or ask the city council specifically, right, to prioritize a voluntary smoke-free multi-unit housing program to improve the healthy and safety of our neighborhoods, because it impacts all of us and the quality of our air. So thank you.
Troy Tang.
Good evening, Garden Grove City Council. My name is Tian Troy Tang from District 3 of Garden Grove. I'm a health educator at Chow Comprehensive Cancer Center at UC Irvine Health. I work with Vietnamese patient. I work as a Vietnamese patient liaison to help newly diagnosed Vietnamese patients navigate through their cancer journey. I am passionate about tobacco and smoking intervention because it is a known fact that smoking tobacco increases the likelihood for an individual to getting underlying lung conditions, asthma, squamous and adenoid lung cancer. So that is why I am here to ask City Council to prioritize a volunteer smoke-free housing program to improve the quality, health, and safety for the community. Thank you.
Stephen Hoffman.
Mayor, City Council members, my name is Stephen Hoffman. I'm a volunteer with the American Cancer Society Cancer Action Network, and we are advocating tobacco-free housing in multi-family buildings. We, as American Cancer Society, American Cancer Society wants everybody to have clean air, fresh air wherever they live. The cause of the smoking that we see in secondhand harms children, harms babies, harms our seniors, and it's got to be taken care of. And any amount of smoke can be harmful. We have 41,000 people a year die in the United States from secondhand smoke. So we're asking that we, even on a volunteer basis, that the city formulate some sort of program to keep people free from this kind of smoke. The other thing I wanted to emphasize is that to clean a building, one unit that has had smokers in it, costs $5,000. And so the cost of this could be taken care of by not having people smoke in these housing units. So we're encouraging the city, like everyone else who's come up here, to have a voluntary program with landlords and owners of multi-level, multi-family buildings to stop smoking. Thank you.
Teresa Tran, followed by Chris Beard.
Hello again, everyone. My name is Teresa Tran, and I'm a lifelong Garden Grove resident and a community engagement coordinator at Waymakers. And I'm here to address some important issues that we wanted to bring to your attention. And first and foremost, I wanted to recognize and acknowledge the people in the room who are here with us today at the City Council meeting. Want to say hi, everybody? Hi! Yeah, you guys are so awesome for coming, and thank you so much for showing your support for this movement. And they're here to make a stand to support smoke-free air for multifamily housing. We also wanted to recognize the community members who aren't able to attend today's meeting, and this includes the residents of Garden Grove who have spoken or written letters for previous city council meetings, such as Patrick Bowie, Monique Jaime, Heather Tomilowitz, Chris Bacoris, Leslie Sue, Jesse Martinez, and the Saldes family. This also includes Garden Grove residents who have not had the opportunity to speak at city council but asked us to voice their concerns on their behalf. We also want to acknowledge the 87 signatures from our Statements of Concern petition, as well as all the individuals who have spoken to us in person or email. We understand that there's reasons why people can't attend these meetings, such as work conflicts, childcare, and transportation issues. And we just want to reassure you, if you're listening, that your voices are being heard. And thank you so much for telling your stories and trusting us with them. We also wanted to thank Councilwoman Cindy Chan for taking the time last week to visit the multi-unit housing complexes in District 3 with our team. And your support and dedication to our community are greatly appreciated, so thank you. And I also wanted to talk about what we've come up with as a team and as a group. And after our meetings with the enforcement team and the city council members independently to discuss how we can encourage Garden Grove to become a safer, healthier environment for families, we discovered a reoccurring pattern. And the idea of a voluntary smoke-free program for multi-unit housing owners was brought up and discussed multiple times. We said, hey, this comes up a lot. This is a great idea that you guys came up with, so what can we do with it? And so this idea inspired our team to start a canvassing campaign at apartment complexes and have conversations with managers, owners about smoke-free policies. We asked them what inspired them to consider a policy, if the recognition of a smoke-free policy at their site would be beneficial and incentive to them, and what could the city do to support them. And from these conversations, our team created a sample voluntary smoke-free program for the city that could encourage and provide education to multi-unit housing owners. It also discusses the benefits of voluntary good neighbor smoke-free policies. And this program could help educate multi-unit housing owners, showing that a voluntary smoke-free policy would not only benefit the health of the residents, but their overall business revenue by saving over $5,000 in overturned costs per unit and thousands of dollars every single year from insurance savings. Additionally, during our meeting with the city council members, the idea of a recognition program for current multi-unit housing complexes came up. And we believe that this would be a great way to acknowledge and reward complexes that are already implementing smoke-free policies. And we want to recognize people who are already dedicated to making sure that Garden Grove is safe and healthy and that they have great business practices through their implementation of these policies. And so in conclusion, we would like to urge that City Council consider implementing these programs for the betterment of our community and our businesses. So thank you so much for your time and attention.
Thank you. Chris Beard, followed by Grace Lee. Cristobal.
May I pass something out? I got something for the council members. Well, good evening, everyone. Honorable Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, members of the City Council, newly minted City Manager. Congratulations again. I'm Chris Beard. I'm a long-term Garden Grove resident and a former smoker. As you're aware from recent public and individual meetings, I have been advocating for measures to limit smoking in shared housing complexes here in Garden Grove. I've been very encouraged speaking individually with you all and about this issue. It seems we've all been personally affected in some form or fashion. Our lives have been touched by smokers. We've been smokers, or we're well aware of the effects of secondhand smoking in all of our lives. So your concerns and commitments to a healthy community is unquestionable. That's the first thing I want to I really appreciate your feedback, and that was expressed sincerely by all of you. Over the past several council meetings, you've heard from me, health professionals, and impacted citizens asking for your support in finding ways to reduce secondhand smoke in shared housing. There's no dispute about the physical harm secondhand smoke causes the people that are innocently impacted. The real question becomes, what can we realistically do to mitigate the problem? Based on the feedback we got from you, from city staff, it's become apparent that an incentivized or voluntary approach is more of a practical way for our city to best address this important issue. Consequently, I'd like you have passed out before you a proclamation, and I'd like your esteemed body to consider developing a city proclamation that helps direct smokers who live in multiple dwellings to smoking cessation programs and services. It made a big difference in my life 34 years ago when I quit smoking. And it can make the same difference for a lot of people, smokers out there, especially in multi-housing units. Also, proclamation could be directed at citizens to practice being good neighbors. That is, by keeping their smoke from infiltrating their neighboring units. I provided you that sample proclamation as an example of what the city could come up with doing so. Since next month is National Public Health Week, as designated by the American Public Health Association, I, along with other supporters who are here tonight, felt that it would be appropriate for the City Council to send a positive message to residents and designate April 2032 as Good Neighbor Shared Good Neighbor Shared Air Awareness Month, as it says in that proclamation, or however you want to identify it. So I respectfully request that the City Council, at the end of this meeting, when matters come up before, that you may consider applying it or agendizing it for the following meeting so that you can deliberate on it and talk about it. It'll get a dialogue going. I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for your consideration of this request. And I'd like to again express my appreciation to the council members, to the staff, the health professionals, the dedicated Waymakers, nonprofit staff who organized and were the front line for a lot of this, and all the concerned citizens for the time and effort in working to create Garden Grove as a healthier city. Thank you very much.
Thank you. All right, Grace Lee, followed by Joe Laricchia.
Good evening, members of the council and Pro Tem as well as Mayor. Really, really good to see you all, and I know that there are many familiar faces, so we're so thankful again. And I just wanted to echo what everyone had said, and we really thank you for just your time and commitment to this city. It's definitely not unnoticed, and we really appreciate just your efforts of prioritizing the safety and the health of our community. So thank you again for all that we do and all that you are doing just for the health of all of us. We really, really appreciate it. So yeah, I just wanted to kind of echo what everyone had said. Today we have our community members here with us today, and it's been an ongoing outreach of really being able to elevate a lot of the stories that we're hearing in the community. This is a huge need that we are seeing, and as we are meeting with you individually, it's been really helpful for us to get your feedback. So thank you so much just for your intention of really wanting to work as a team to see how we can help the needs in this community. We really appreciate all the feedback you've given us, and what I've actually just passed out to you is essentially what our coalition has kind of taken time to put together in terms of potentially what a program could look like. And obviously this is really subject to change in terms of what is most appropriate for our city and what you think as members and of course mayor of our city to really see the needs of our community. But I just wanted to provide you with an idea of potentially something that might look like. We definitely want the proclamation, hopefully, as Chris had mentioned, to be something that can lead the voice of just the importance of having a clean and shared air for those that especially live in multifamily housing. But potentially having some type of incentive and recognition was something that did come up from some of your feedback as well. So we wanted to take all of those suggestions and put them into something that potentially could kind of tie all that together. So something, we were kind of thinking out loud, it was maybe having some type of incentive, whether it be for those that are already smoke-free entities, to have some type of recognition on the city level, since that is essentially a way for us to also provide resources to the community to know if they're looking for smoke-free housing, where can they go, and who are the champions in the community that are already doing so. By providing some incentive, we can also encourage other multi-unit housing family housings as well to be able to adopt these smoke-free policies on a voluntary basis, so that this can be hopefully something that encourages this movement in the community as well. So we would love for you to be able to really take some time to discuss and to agendize this item. This is really important to the needs in the community that we are seeing, and we really hope that you take this as a priority to discuss the proclamation as well as potentially this voluntary program. And we're happy, of course, to work with you in terms of what that looks like. We're happy to, of course, meet together again if that is something that you're willing to agendize, to see how we can best tailor it and make it something that is fit for the Garden Grove community. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. Joe Laricia, and then followed by Ruby Garcia.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, City Council. My name is Joe Laricia. An issue I'd just like to speak of real quick is about our parking issue. We know it's a big problem with the city. I'm a proud member of the Traffic Commission for the City of Garden Grove. We have a company right now that we're working with for the last several months. They're trying to help us with some of our parking issues that we know what we have. I know the thing that I want to talk about the state has taken it away from us. I know in our city laws, for a single-family dwelling, you have to have a garage and parking for, if 1 to 4 bedrooms, you need a 2-car garage. The state's taken that away from us. For example, one of the examples on my street, we have 3 residents right now that are building ADA granny units. 2 of them are side by side, and one of them is also turning their garage into a 1-bedroom apartment. So now what had 2 pieces of property with 2 single-family homes now is going to be 5 residences on 2 pieces of property. Minimum, there's going to be 2 cars per unit. That's 10 parking spaces just between 2 houses. So like I said, I know the state has mandated and taken it away from us. I don't know if there's a way we can get with the state, some way to overturn that, because the people who are making the rules don't live in neighborhoods that have to deal with this kind of issue. So it's just something I think we need to look at and see if there's a way we can cut away from that and do something with that, because I know it's happening all over the city, and I know we're really concerned with that. And like I said, we do have a company working with us with our commission right now that's trying to see if we can curb some of that, but a lot of the new residences going in with no mandate for parking, it's just an overflow onto the streets. So anyway, I appreciate your time. Thank you. Have a good evening.
I see Ruby making her way on up.
Good evening, Mayor, members of the City Council, and city staff. My name is Ruby Garcia, and I'm the CEO and founder of the Andean Aid and Safety Group. The Andean Aid and Safety Group, along with other resource groups, hosted Autism Day 2023 on Saturday, March 25th at Atlantis Park, and I'm proud to announce that it was a success. I want to thank the City of Garden Grove Parks and Recreation, Public Works, and all the staff from Atlantis Park. Without their help, we couldn't have done it. They worked so hard to keep that park beautiful, and all the families enjoyed it. Autism Day consisted of different resource groups from ABA clinics, sports, social groups, vacation homes that are sensory friendly, OT and AP, and sensory activities and music. Parents were able to have conversation with these groups, and their children loved all of the interactions in an environment where they felt understood in a sensory-friendly environment. I want to thank Garden Grove Police Department, Garden Grove Neighborhood Association, Kiwanis of Greater Garden Grove, Authentic Community Support, and especially Tony Nguyen, special education lawyer, who helped us pay in full for the park. Thank you to Crimson Coward, who donated their delicious food for the families, and also a special thanks to Congresswoman Michelle Steele, who gave each participating group a certificate. Without any of these groups, this day would not have been a success. I'll never forget the smiles and families helping each other out and being each other's support system. It's just priceless. Our autism families were with their people and felt like they were in a judge-free zone. We hope to do this annually for the families. Thank you.
Alrighty, that's all the cards that I have. Is there anyone else wishing to speak on any items that are not listed on the agenda tonight or address us in oral communications? Okay, seeing none, we will close oral communications. And we will briefly recess to conduct other legislative body business. So we'll open successor agency. Madam Clerk, can you please call roll?
Member Bridegan.
Here.
Member Tran.
Here.
Member Dovin.
Present.
Member Klopfenstein.
Here.
Member Nguyen.
Here.
Vice Chair O'Neill.
Here.
And Chair Jones.
Here. Okay, not much here tonight. We already did oral communications, consent items, just receive and file the minutes. Can I get a motion? Call the vote.
Motion received, 7 yes votes.
Any successor agency matters? Seeing none, we will adjourn to sanitary district. Take it away, President O'Neill.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We'll call the Garden Grove Sanitary District Board of Directors meeting to order. If the clerk could please call the roll.
Member Bridegan.
Here.
Member Dovin. Member Klopfenstein.
Here.
Member Nguyen.
Here.
Member Jones.
Here.
Vice President Tran.
Here.
And President O'Neill.
Here. Thank you. We've already held oral communications simultaneously with council. We will go to the consent items. Just one item, receive and file the minutes. Have a motion and a second. Please call for the vote.
Motion received, 7 yes votes.
Thank you. We do have one item for consideration tonight. There'll be a presentation of an award of a contract to Lead Electric.
Item 3A is award a contract to Lead Electric, Inc. for project number CP1268277, Sanitation Lift Stations SCADA Improvements Project. And Mr. Murray is here to give the report.
Thank you, Ms. Pomeroy. Mr. President and members of the board, tonight the board is being asked to award a contract to LEED Electric Incorporated for the construction and installation of a SCADA system at 3 sanitary lift stations. SCADA stands for Supervisory, Control, and Data Acquisition. This work will be done at the Tiffany, Belgrave, and Partridge lift station. Actually, you do need a little bit more explanation. This is going to be the computer program that runs the pumps. So, this work was in addition to our 2020 SCADA system master plan for our water system. By doing this work, we will ensure that the SCADA systems for both the sewer and water systems are standardized and consistent. In general, the work will consist of demolishing and retrofitting programmable logic controllers, their related control panels, replacing existing wet well intrusion switches and level transmitters, and providing Ethernet communications between the new PLCs, which is the programmable logic controllers, and the existing generator, automatic transfer switch, the motor saver for each pump. New conduit, conductors, junction boxes will all be installed. All this work is to be completed at a cost of just over $713,000. Staff received and opened 2 bids on February 7th of this year and determined that LEED Electric Incorporated to be the lowest responsible bidder. Should the board decide to award the contract tonight, the contractor can begin work in April and should be complete by midsummer. This project will be paid for with sewer funds. This concludes staff's report, and I'm available should you have any questions.
Thank you. Any questions from board members? Seeing none? Oh, yes, Mr. Devine.
Just a quick question. What is the time of implementation? You know, you said it starts in April. When will it be completed?
By midsummer, and most of that's just lead time for us. We got to order the parts and then wait for them to get in.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mr.
Does
Bradley.
this increase the flow in the sewer line at all, or is it just maintain the similar? I remember about 4 years ago, I did a tour over there at the sanitary district, and they were saying it takes about 3 hours from the time you flush any solid waste till it gets to their treatment plant. And I go, that's pretty interesting. It takes 3 hours, right? I don't know. Does this increase that time or?
No. What this, our current system, say the pump fails. We have a system right now that will basically dial a series of phone numbers until somebody goes out there to shut it off and deal with the situation. This is a new system that's hooked up to the internet and will tell you exactly what's wrong. It's actually, you know, our previous system would be comparable to like a 1990s system, fairly old tech. You know, dialing phone numbers and things like that. Whereas the new system, you're going to get a text, an email, and you'll be able to pull up the system on your, you know, your cell phone and be able to easily see what's going on. You might be able to make some changes right then and there to address the problem, or you'll be able to go to the site and deal with it if it's a larger problem.
Very good. Thank you. Clarified that.
Yes, Mr.
I do have one follow-up. With this expenditure, does it include maintenance so that we don't have ongoing costs that we have to cover later on?
I don't know the specific period after that they maintain it for, but it's generally 3 years. I know that I get in trouble with the city attorney if I go longer than that. But yes, they will be helping us. They've got to teach us the system, so that's included in it, and then they'll be on the hook for maintenance for a few years.
Thank you. So basically going from an analog system of relays and very 40-year-old equipment to very high-tech,
modern,
digital,
yeah.
and the modern, which is controlling all the functions of the
Mhm.
facility. Okay, if there's no other questions, I'll entertain a motion. I have a motion and a second. Please call for the vote.
Motion received, 7 yes votes.
All right, thank you. Any other matters for the sanitary district? Seeing none, we'll go ahead and adjourn to the next regular meeting, Tuesday, April 25th, here in these chambers. Back over to council.
Okay, we'll reconvene. City Council takes us on to consent calendar. We've already taken action on 3A, B, and C. So it's recommended that 3D through 3K be acted on simultaneously unless anyone would like to pull any items.
Mr. Mayor, could I pull 3J?
May. Any others?
I'll move the balance.
Second.
Call to vote for the balance.
Motion received, 7 yes votes.
I just wanted to pull this to highlight all the work that's being done in our city in our great parks like West Haven Park, Garden Grove Park. This one happens to be just partial equipment for the fitness equipment for Magnolia Park, which is in District 2. And very excited that all this work will take place at one time with equipment that we've already bought at a previous meeting for the playground equipment. This is the fitness equipment which goes around that, which people can exercise on while they're watching their kids and all that stuff. So just wanted to highlight the great work. I don't think we need to report on it, but I just wanted to highlight what's going on in all of our parks that we've done over the last 4 or 5 years with our study of our parks and investing money in our parks so the residents can use our parks. So with that, I will go ahead and move that. You never know. I have a motion and a second. Please call for the vote. Or I'm sorry. It's Steve's meeting.
You're on a roll.
I run a lot of different meetings.
Call to vote? Yeah.
Okay.
You're good.
Motion received, 7 yes votes.
Alrighty, that concludes consent items. Takes us on to items for consideration. 4A, and this is award of a contract to Michael Baker International for preparation of the California Environmental Quality Act compliance documents for the Civic Center project.
And Mr. Chung is here to give the report.
Thank you. Good evening, Mr. Mayor and members of the City Council. In February of 2022, the city undertook an extensive request for proposals process to assemble a P3 public-private partnership financial advisory team to analyze a P3 structure for a new public safety building. The scope of work provided for a multi-phase procurement strategy to evaluate the potential cost implications of a new public safety building based on a range of site and program alternatives, which also incorporate a new parking structure and revitalization of Civic Center Park. Due to complexity of a P3 structure, the City Council authorized Phase 1 work in July of 2022, which focused on an initial project financial and feasibility analysis. The consultant team, led by Project Finance Advisory Limited, PFAL, was selected to perform this analysis. Concurrently, the PlaceWorks was retained to facilitate public outreach and community engagement. Tasks under Phase 1 are completed, and the purpose of the initial feasibility analysis was to develop a preliminary cost estimate for the project and to determine optional delivery methods. There has been continued input from stakeholders from the City Manager's Office, Finance, Community Services, Police Department, Community and Economic Development, and Public Works Departments. The analysis concluded that a public safety building approximately 87,000 square feet, along with a multi-story secure parking structure and with approximately 448 spaces, would achieve sustainability goals and meet GGPD infrastructure needs and potential growth to 2039. In January 2023, the City Council directed staff to continue advancing the Civic Center project and authorized amendments to the consultant team's contracts to proceed to Phase 2 and 3 tasks, as well as to initiate work for an environmental analysis of the Civic Center project by retaining an environmental consultant to assist with the city with the preparation of CEQA, California Environmental Quality Act compliance documents, which will be conducted in parallel. In February 2023, a request for proposals was released requesting services of an environmental consultant for the preparation of CEQA compliance documents for the Civic Center project. 4 firms submitted proposals in response to the RFP: De Novo Planning Group from Tustin, Environmental Science Associates, ESA from Irvine, LSA Associates from Irvine, and Michael Baker International from Santa Ana. The selection process comprised of an evaluation team who carefully analyzed all proposals. The evaluation team recommends contracting with Michael Baker International to assist with all requested tasks. The consultant is qualified by virtue of experience and expertise to accomplish the services requested and has a clear understanding of the city's objectives. Michael Baker provided a comprehensive budget and cost breakdown of all tasks and services, as well as a commitment to for the preparation and completion of the environmental clearance CEQA document for the Civic Center project through a feasible schedule of milestones along a project timeline that directly aligns with the city's goals for overall project timing, and to facilitate and advance other tasks of Phase 2 and 3 for the project. Finally, Michael Baker demonstrated extensive experience in providing environmental consulting services for other similar civic projects, including police station and fire station, public safety facilities, parking structures, as well as other park and community use facilities projects. Therefore, it is recommended that the City Council award a contract to Michael Baker International for the preparation of CEQA compliance documents for the Civic Center project in a not to exceed amount of $331,051 for fiscal year 2022-2023, and authorize the city manager to authorize designee to execute the professional services agreement on behalf of the city and to make minor modifications as appropriate, and authorize the city manager to authorize designee to sign amendments to the said agreement, including the authorization to increase the compensation to a higher amount provided sufficient funds are available. This concludes staff's report, and we are available for any questions you may have. Thank you.
Thanks, Chris. Colleagues, any questions, comments, or a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Call the vote.
Motion received, 7 yes votes.
Good job, Chris. Thanks. 4B.
4B is award a contract for the Civic Center Bridge and Landscape Renovation Project IFB number S1302A to RG General Engineering, Inc. And Ms. Palaio is here to give the report.
Good evening, Mayor and members of the City Council. Staff would like to request that the City Council award a contract for the Civic Center Bridge and Landscape Renovation Project to RG General Engineering. On February 3rd, 2023, staff solicited bids for this project that included new walkways on both the west and east sides of the Community Meeting Center. These improvements will address ADA accessibility, drainage of runoff water from the Community Meeting Center, and installation of low-maintenance plant material. Additionally, the improvements include the sorry about that, demolition of areas where the previous bridges were located, grading and drainage construction that includes irrigation system repairs and replacement on both sides of the building, paths of travel to be ADA compliant. On the west side of the building, a new bridge facade with grouted cobblestone, decomposed granite, and low-maintenance landscaping, including the removal and planting of new trees, brush, and plants. And on the east side of the building, the area will be graded and leveled for a new walking path using the same path of travel. On March 6, 2023, 9 bids were received for this project. Staff reviewed the bid documents submitted by the lowest qualified contractor, which was RG General Engineering, with a total bid amount of sorry about that. Something's in my throat. Total bid amount of $356,386, and the bid alternate item additional cost of $4,938 for invasive tree removal and replanting, bringing the project total amount to $361,324. The licenses and references of the contractor have been reviewed and verified by staff, and all other documentation is in order. This total bid amount is within the project budget. This improvement was approved as part of the 5-year CIP, Capital Improvement Plan, and funded by the Park Fee funds. To conclude this report, it is recommended that the City Council award a contract for the project in the amount of $361,324 to RG General Engineering Incorporated, and authorize the city manager to execute the agreement on behalf of the city and make minor modifications as appropriate. Thank you. Staff is available to answer any questions you may have.
Thanks, Janet. Colleagues, questions, comments, or?
Mayor, I do have a couple. I'm going to go back in the Wayback Machine here 25 years or so ago when the bridge over here in front of the Civic Center was built. And I don't recall the exact figure. I think it was going to cost approximately $60,000 back then to build it, and there was a large group of people in here very upset about this. And in a lot of the re-election campaign materials that came out subsequent to that, it was used as the example of how the city is wasteful in their spending. You know, the bridge to nowhere doesn't even go over any water. It just goes over a piece of grass. Really serves no function. You could argue that it's decorative, but trees would look better there, I think, in my opinion. But with that being said, there was a lot of fallout when that bridge was built. In 25 years, I have yet to see anyone using that bridge for any, I mean, I'm told that folks will occasionally take pictures on the bridge. I've never seen anyone doing it. It doesn't really serve any point, any purpose. So I asked what percentage of this $361,000 is going for the bridge, and you know, line itemed out, it's approximately $70,000. In my opinion, I totally get the other stuff that needs to be done, the grading, the ADA compliant sidewalks, I got to take exception with this bridge. I just don't see that it serves any point. And $70,000 will go a long way to other programs. I don't think it needs to go to a bridge to nowhere. So for that, you know, if there was a way to bifurcate out the bridge and accept this, I would do that in a heartbeat, because I really think the rest of it is needed. The tree trimming, the ADA compliance, the grading so the water runs out and doesn't go into the building. That all makes sense. There's a purpose to that. But that bridge serves absolutely no purpose. It never has, it never will, and so I'm firmly going to have to vote no on this. and hopefully it'll come back with the other stuff without the bridge. But that's where I stand.
Janet or John, could you guys clarify source of funds for this project? And
yeah, it's through our park fee funds, which are fees that we receive through some development that have to, when developers develop, their additional dwelling units, or new construction, they got to pay a portion of that towards park fees. So it's used from those particular fees.
Joe?
I like the idea, but I have some concerns that particularly raised by Mayor Pro Tem Brightingham, and I'm very fond of bridges. Foot bridges. I love them. I'm the one that take pictures with them, so I I'll readily admit that. However, I don't see any designs or any type of conceptual. I'm a very visual person, so I'd like to hold off on a vote if we can get more report at a later time as to the conceptually what's it's going to look like. And I don't want to call it a bridge to nowhere. I want to call it a bridge to somewhere. Now, where is that? Where are we going with this? In our video shoot very recently, I want to internationalize Garden Grove. Can we make it a international friendly kind of a bridge concept, and maybe work into it some artistry? Because I support more public art in our city, and I've said this out loud, especially Councilwoman Kluffenstein is also a fan of more public art. So can we work that into that bridge? The other parts I'm comfortable with, but the bridge itself, I want it to be a public art piece of work. I want something that we can all be proud of, take pictures at, and the residents can enjoy it the way we intend it. Otherwise, I'm going to vote it down too. Lastly, it seems like every meeting I've been, we've closed it out in memory of somebody very dear and near to us that we've lost. Can we have a plaque there at the bridge to celebrate the people that we've lost? I don't know if that's appropriate, but I want to study on it and maybe a vote on that also, because I would love to be able to celebrate the people we lost with a plaque there at that bridge. If we're going to vote it up, I suggest we conceptualize it a little better. Thank you.
I think I want to back up a few steps. I don't really have an issue with the bridge. I'm okay with it being an art, more incorporating art or whatever. We can talk about that later. I think my first question is, how does this tie in with the vision and the current projects for the new PD headquarters, and how that's going to tie in with the library and the pond and all of that stuff? I want to make sure that we're not spending $400,000 on something that then's going to be ripped up and destroyed and reconfigured.
Right.
So I want to make sure that whatever it is that we're voting on today or in the future is consistent with we don't know exactly what this entire area is going to look like. I'd hate to spend money and then have to do something different.
Of course. To answer Councilmember Nguyen and Councilmember Dovin's questions, the design and the area as of right now is not considered an area that will be redesigned as part of the new police station. Everything seems to be what we're looking at as far as conceptual designs is be just south of the community meeting center. So this being directly west of the community meeting center, we are not considering to redo. And again, because we are making a huge investment in this, as we come up with designs for the new civic center, it would be taken into consideration that we wouldn't want to touch this because it's a large amount of money that's being invested here. So that would be the plan for that. And then to answer Councilmember Devin's question as far as the conceptual design, in the packet that you guys received on page 11 and 12, I believe, it shows the conceptual design of the actual bridge with the kind of like the cobblestone and some of the calling out some of the different designs and features that are going to be on the bridge. it's again, it's right now it's more of an aesthetic look. It's from our experience here as we facilitate this meeting center. It is a location where whenever there is weddings or quinceañeras, they use that location as it was in previous times. The way it looked as a location to take pictures with the bridal party or the quinceañera court. And so again, a lot of the look, we're trying to kind of modernize it, and then also the landscaping to not only be more materials that are less likely to
Maintenance.
sorry, that's what the word I'm looking. Lower maintenance material for our public works department, but also to beautify and make the area a little bit more appealing for photographs. Now, to answer George Bridegan's some of his questions regarding the bridge in itself, obviously the bridge is there. The topography that was there, that was designed at the time, doesn't really allow for to create just a plain path of travel anymore. In order to do that, we would have to regrade some of the area. So that's obviously more additional cost. And two, there's the way the topography sits now, some of that water runs off back into the community meeting center on the east side of the bridge. And so in order to kind of help prevent some of that, there's going to be, we looked at the design and decided to stick with the bridge because of the fact that we have to deal with that water that could potentially be running back. Well, currently right now it does. So we have to address some of that to take that water away from that area. And as we're working on the area, we decided it'd be the best time to address that issue. And we also have our architect, Bob McMahon here, who can definitely go into greater detail if you guys have any questions regarding some of the situation and why it is that we have a water pooling issue there. So if you guys would want him to, he's more than happy to come up and address any questions you guys have regarding that.
I saw the conception in the plans, and in my opinion, it's not. The old one wasn't very artistic. It was just an old bridge, and this one is a newer bridge. I don't see it as artistic in any kind of way. However, I do support Councilman Dovin's idea. If that was to be some kind of community art or something like that, at least it has a purpose. It's not just a 15-foot bridge that goes nowhere, really. They are going to be regrading as part of what's included in the cost here. So if they're going to regrade, then we're going to have ample opportunity now to put we could just pour cement there, and it would be more ADA compliant, and it would maybe put some trees there, people could take their pictures. But, I just think, as we said, that money's coming from the developers' fees and whatnot. That money could be used in way other better parks programs, I think, in my opinion, than this bridge that serves zero purpose. I mean, yeah, it's nice. It's better to look at, I guess, than just a big wall there, right? But you plant a couple trees, it'll look fine too. I just don't see the need for a $70,000 bridge that serves no purpose other than a few people might take some snapshots on it once in a while. However, if it was public art, reconceptualized as a public art piece or something like that, I think I could rethink that. But that's not what we have before us today. It's just a bridge, right? So with that being said, I'll shut up.
Thanks, John. Yeah, bingo on. So originally, when this was brought up a few weeks back, it was all a focus on the bridge, and we're spending $500,000 on the bridge. We're not. It's 20% of this $360,000. And I would like you to maybe start looking to see if you can go to the render. We have it in front of us. I can look at it on my screen if you want. But if we could pull up the rendering of what the bridge will look like. 80% of this job is landscaping, irrigation, new trees, new bushes, new plants. Now grading, if we don't do the bridge, I'm a construction guy for 38 years. If we don't do the bridge, what our director's telling us is correct, that the grading to facilitate a safe sidewalk instead of a bridge may cost as much as the 20%. and, you know, all due respect, I understand where you're coming from. And again, my point too on this bridge is, it is an aesthetic bridge, and it's used for the purpose of the people using the facility. This is part of the parks. It surrounds this building, from this end of the building all the way around to the other side of the building. Trees, removing a lot of trees, putting in more drought-sensitive stuff, all new irrigation, all new everything. So the bridge is going to look beautiful, I think. I'm in favor of this. The bridge will look beautiful. It'll be still a mainstay for people that are using the facility. Again, it's for the public that rent this facility, and we use it for photo ops and things like that. It's only 20% of the budget. I'm in favor of it. When it first came up and it was talk about $500,000 on a bridge, I did my homework and I realized it wasn't that. It's 80% of this is landscaping. And I can tell you that to try to transverse from the current police department or that side of the city hall, a lot of people use that bridge. Now, if the bridge isn't there, we have to regrade it and spend money on grading to put a flat ADA sidewalk in there. So, in my opinion, I like the project the way it is, and I'll vote for it. Thank you.
Well said, John.
I'll motion to move approval.
Cindy,
Oh, go ahead.
Cindy was waiting to talk as well.
Oh, sorry about that.
Yes, I would like to make a quick comment. So many years ago when my daughter was 2 years old, I used to take her to that part, walking on that bridge and take pictures just because that's the place that, you know, she could see duck and Garden Grove City. And so we were fascinated about the duck and all that. But recently, being a library advisor board for our council here, I have to go to the library a couple of times, you know, for different events. And now, I guess because older, or I don't know, I just see just browsing what the booths is, and, you know, like not much attractive as I thought when I was there before. So I agree with Council Member Joe Dovin and George mentioned earlier that I would like to, if that's possible, you know, with the 70,000 that you have, if something that we could do, maybe make some purpose or do something. Just I don't want to spend too much money on that, but at least something that when people come there, you know, they, beside taking the picture, but their purpose and then wanting to come there and see the library and other things around it too. So not just like when I go there now, I just see brown, like nothing really attractive. So that's just a comment for me.
Yeah, I'd like to speak a little bit more to that because we're going to all have to live with it for a while, right? Once it's built. It looks very plain to me. It's I mean, if we're going to spend that kind of money, let's make it iconic. Let's make it not necessarily a landmark, but something that people would come here and take a picture and be proud of it. And we can always all say we voted for it. But I also want to look into public funding if people want to contribute to it. But we can address this later. We don't have to vote on all that tonight. But I want to be able to revisit it if we're going to build it. Once it's built and we're not happy with it, if we didn't get what we want, can we add to it? Can we modify it? Can we seek public funding to make it more interesting? Call it the International Bridge or International Friendship Bridge or something to that effect where I want purpose. I like the point that George made is purpose. I know that the purpose is to, we got water under there, you're taking care of the runoff, it's part of the landscape. I get all that. But if it's going to get built and it looks the way that I see it on the rendering, I'm not happy with it. So I want something a little bit more. We can go for outside sources for funding and recognize with a plaque or whatever it is, because it's going to be there for a long time. And we all have to walk by it. We go to our meetings and everybody who's using the public space will see it. And if it doesn't make sense to us, it might not make sense to our residents who's going to question why we even have a bridge there.
Sorry, Mayor, Council, a few comments. I just want to be that person and bring back up my concern about the whole area and space. I know that we've had other meetings about the police headquarters, and I think to my disappointment, it was like, I voted for it, support it, love it. That's not where I'm going with this, but the fact that it wasn't an entire vision for this entire space and what all was going to happen together, I feel like everything was being siloed off. And I know that during our meeting, the mayor and I made comments towards that, and that we wanted to see this all moving pieces together, and we understand that we had to bifurcate and do one by one. But it's really hard for me to envision what the future will look like if I'm not even getting the clear understanding that the different departments are working together to ensure that this is going to be seamless, money is going to get spent right the first time, and that we're taking into consideration how this area in its entirety will morph and change over time, because there's bigger plans than just the police headquarters. And so I think my biggest concern is that you're telling me that it's going to stay and we're not wasting money, and that's fine, but it's hard for me to believe it when I don't see a larger plan in place that indicates these several moving components. So I just wanted to make that last comment back to my first point. But then the second point I wanted to make was I'd really like for us to look at what other cities or other venues have around their surrounding facilities, because to your point, we do rent this space out a lot for weddings. I know folks that have gotten married here before, baby showers, quinceañeras, other lifetime celebrations that people have. And so I know there's a wonderful place in the city of Orange that has transformed its location, and you wouldn't even know that it's the city of Orange, but just based on its surrounding area, and you can take pictures and it looks like you're at a really fancy place. And so whatever we can do to give, a little bit more zhuzh to our space for people who are renting it out, I think the better for us. It would become a top of the list location for folks who want to have big celebrations and pay to utilize our space. So different trees, give it that outdoorsy look for folks that want that for whatever their special occasion are, et cetera. But looking at what other areas have to offer, I think Garden Grove is very flat and we don't have a lot to offer as far as variety. So if we can give folks something that they can pick an area of that space to take pictures, I think that would be a great way to go. Thank you.
Thanks. Anybody else? Do we care to hear from the architect, since we're all kind of pretending we're architects right now?
Hello, Mayor and council members. My name is Bob McMahon, landscape architect. I've been working with the group here with the management team for a while on the project, and if you have any questions, I can certainly answer those for you.
I'll ask a question. So most of the controversy is over the bridge, in my opinion. I'm still in favor of the project. I don't want it to be a contentious item. We could table it and redesign it or whatever. But I just want people to know that the bridge is basically 2 footings, decorative stone, desert stone, and then a metal bridge that's decorative. We can always add stuff around it as far as a plaque or any other city decoration that we come up with. But this is basically the infrastructure of a bridge, basically, right? It's basically the footings, the decorative stone, and the metal railings, right?
Right. And actually our approach was to keep and preserve what's there now in terms of the footings, and provide an ADA compliant walk surface from one walkway to the other walkway. And it was more utilitarian, if you will, just to objectively get from A to B. Then we discussed a little bit with Janet and the team is people are approaching it from the parking lot. This is the front door to the city council chambers. You have a big window, series of windows in the building that look out to this space. So it's kind of a double-sided viewing opportunity. So we wanted to make it not look heavy, if you will. So it's somewhat transparent and kind of, as you mentioned, I didn't know anything about the photo opportunities, but we had been told that that was a usable space for people viewing and taking opportunities there. So we just try to keep it seamless in terms of the bridge. We didn't want to make it a bridge project, but to enhance what's there without having to do a bunch of removals of all the footings and the infrastructure. And then take the opportunity to make the landscape a nicer environment. Remove the water, thirsty grass, come up with low-use plantings, have a meandering cobblestone and decomposed granite pathway.
Okay. One last question for you is the material for the base of the bridge, is that concrete?
It's a stamped concrete.
Design, colored
yeah,
concrete?
they kind of look like wood planks,
Right.
if you will.
Okay.
Yes.
All right, thank you. That's all my questions.
Yeah, so we have a span. So the reason why, if we want to call it a bridge, which technically it is, but what we're trying to do is get water away from the building, because right now between the building and the bridge or the walkway, if we were just to fill that in, we have a low point, then we're going to create an entrapment of water. So we're trying to get rid of the water. So
Talking about the underground rainwater or something.
right,
Would-
right.
okay.
So we're trying to create that low point, get water underneath this structure, and then out further to a French drain system between the bridge and the parking lot area. That's kind of the watershed that we're trying to create. You could, of course, do culvert drains, like you see commonly in box channels, and just create a drain system, a utilitarian drain system. But aesthetically, that's not very pleasing to the front door. So we tried to just keep it two beams, metal beams, keep it a clear support structure, and then to allow the water to intercept underneath that structure.
So those steel beams are probably a large portion of this
That's
cost,
that's
right?
the most of the cost,
That
right?
way- and that'll last longer than 25 years that this old bridge lasted, because I think that was just wood, right? Or
Yes,
yeah.
yes. Yeah, we had some other ideas of doing just a single concrete wall, if you will, in the middle and span the sidewalk out of that. But structurally, that becomes expensive as well. So we chose the beam structure to keep it just clean and simple, and then have the concrete poured on top of that.
And one last question, as far as grading goes, I mean, I've seen it done in other locations, and it seems like it's fairly simple and easy. Most of the time, it's just a tractor or bulldozer grading it out, right? 2 or 3 passes, you've got your grade. So it's not a complicated, expensive thing to grade.
No, grading is not.
Right, I just wanted to clarify
Yeah,
that.
the challenges, though, we do have here is we have underground utilities. We have some electrical utilities for the light poles that we have to retain and respect. So there's, yes, in a sense, grading is very simple, but we just have to be careful of the subsurface elements.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Go ahead, Jim. Do you want?
Yeah,
I'll
I'll just speak, I'll speak quickly to the utilitarian aspect of it, and I can appreciate that because I'm, I'm a minimalist too. So for that cost, it makes sense to be utilitarian because we don't want to spend more money jazzing it up. We can do that later. So I'll vote for it with a caveat that I want to be able to revisit it once it's built out, which is probably, what, later this year?
Janet would be able to answer.
Yeah,
that question.
that's correct. That would be as soon as, well, we have the contract here for the contractor. As soon as we get the contractor on board, we'd be getting going. So probably by fall or at the end of this year. I don't know, Jen, if we have an actual direct.
Okay.
It would be by estimated around end of summer.
Okay.
About 4 months.
So I'll vote it up if, with a caveat that once it's built out by later this year in the fall or so on, and I invite everybody to come out and take pictures of it. And if we like it, we keep it that way. We want to jazz it up, we can have a competition. Let all the kids design what they want to design, and then we'll go from there. But I like the utilitarian part of it. We're getting really more than we bid for. And for 20%, I'm agreeable with that. With a caveat, like I said, that I don't want people to say why it's there and it looks horrible. That's going to come back and reflect poorly on all of us. So I'm very much into the artistic side of it, but we can revisit it once it's built.
Concept of Friendship Bridge. So kudos on that.
Well, International Friendship Bridge, and we can reimagine the bridge.
Okay, was that a motion?
Yes, that's a motion.
Okay. Let's call the vote.
Motion received, 7 yes votes. Oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Brady. I'm sorry. I saw a 7 on here. Motion received 6 yes votes, with Mayor Pro Tem Brightingham voting no.
All right, item 4C. On-call geotech services.
Item 4C is award of contracts for on-call professional geotechnical services for capital improvement projects to Associated Soils Engineering, GMU Geotechnical, and Geocon West. And Mr. Murray is here to give the report.
Thank you, Mrs. Pomeroy, Mr. Mayor, and members of the council. Tonight, City Council is being asked to award on-call professional geotechnical services agreements to 3 companies. They are Associated Soils Engineering, GMU Geotechnical, and Geocon West. Geotechnical services are needed for our capital improvement plan work, such as street paving projects and the construction of water and sewer lines. The proposed agreements will be for 3 years and with a not-to-exceed contract of $400,000 each. The agreements contain provisions to extend the contract should the city and the consultant desire to do that. Typically, one of the 3 consultants is chosen based on an informal proposal for a capital project. So this is like how we use this. The work is charged against the project and taken out of the $400,000, but it doesn't affect the general fund because we're using either water funds or sewer funds or street funds. So basically the geotechnical work is included in the price of the street project when we go out. So there is no impact to the general fund, I'll say that again. Staff reviewed and rated 5 proposals, which is shown in your staff report. The 3 highest firms were selected and their rate schedules were negotiated. Staff is recommending the approval of the agreements and to authorize the city manager to execute them on behalf of the city. This concludes staff's report, and I'm available should you have any questions.
Thanks, Bill. Any questions, comments, or a motion?
I'll move it. Second.
Call the vote.
Motion receives 7 yes votes.
All right, thank you. That takes us on to matters, nothing listed, so we'll go around the horn. Mayor Pro Tem.
Yeah, I got a couple. Well, just a couple. Let me turn my speaker on here. There, maybe. So every month I get texts and emails about garbage being dumped in lots or behind stores or this kind of thing, and it's really unnecessary. With part of the new contract that we have with Republic, every resident in this city, including folks that live in apartments, condos, you can call Republic 3 times a year for bulky item pickups. And you can have 10 items, large items there, right? So, refrigerator, your couch, whatever it is you want to get rid of. There's no reason to go in the wee hours of the night sneaking off and throwing it behind a Rite Aid or behind a, Circle K or whatever it is. Those days are gone, okay? We need to get hip, get with the times, all right? So just make a phone call, Republic. I'm a Garden Grove resident, come pick this up. They will be there, and you don't have to be a nuisance to your neighbors and to the business community and everything else. So please, 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 and I'm hoping we can maybe do some educational stuff and work with Republic on that with our social media and that kind of stuff to get that message out. Those days are gone. This isn't 1970 anymore. We're in 2023. You can make a phone call. It's handled. It's taken care of. So there's no need for this. So that was the first thing. I just wanted to get that off my chest because it's getting a little frustrating. Anyway, with that being said, 25th of next month, State of the City. It's going to be awesome. Our mayor will be presiding over that. If anybody wants to attend or rent a table or buy a table or all that, please contact the Garden Grove Chamber of Commerce, and I'm sure they'll be glad to hook you up. So what annual is this? Do you remember? State of the City? Is it?
Don't know.
Yeah, I don't recall either. It's getting up there, though. I know that. So with that being said, and lastly, I would like to entertain a motion. The smoking folks have been coming to us for months now. Almost every meeting, I think they met with us all individually, and I think this resolution they've come up with idea is actually kind of neat. I like the idea of a voluntary program, and I like the reading of this. They call it a proclamation. We call it a resolution. So I would like to put it on the agenda for next meeting, that we can discuss it and maybe consider supporting their agenda, or supporting the resolution.
I'll second.
Okay, so do I have to formalize that or vote on it, or we got a second here, so we only need two?
Well, we do need a motion if you want it as an action item at your next agenda.
Well, I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
And we need a vote on it, yes.
Okay, call the vote.
Motion received, 7 yes votes.
And as far, good job, guys. And as far as anything else, I think that's it for me. I'll shut up.
Thank you. John?
I've already got it in my brain. Get hip, get with the times, and make a phone call to pick up your trash, right? So, man, that's a good going, George. It's in my brain. Just one item, just want to let everybody know we had a very productive council. They call it a council retreat, but it's basically an all-day council meeting that we had a couple Fridays ago. And I think it was very productive. It was kind of a new way of going about it, where staff and the people that were there that helped run the day, actually interviewed us all ahead of time. They kind of knew what we wanted to do, and the staff and them, they heard more from us. Before, we used to get talked to a lot, and in this case, we were able to all talk freely in a public meeting for a full day, and go over what our plans are for the future of the city and for all the folks out there. So, very productive. It was a good time, and that's all I have for tonight. Thanks.
Sure. Couple items. So first, I just want to say thanks to Miss Lisa for helping with connecting one of the residents related to the health issue with the Be Well. And so she kind of connect us with the team, and the team reached out to the individual today, and they were happy that somebody from the city actually reached out and tried to help them with the safety and health issue. So thanks to our city manager. And then the second one is thanks to Maria for helping with one of the business owner have issue with the trash, the wasted food that nobody pick up, and I talked to the public work. So because this is something new, so they still need to help like the people that go the right route. And so just thanks to Maria for making the connection, and we got that for the business owner, so they're happy with that. I have a couple of pictures that I would like to share. Could you please post that? So last week or the week before, we have Art in the Park, and it was just amazing to see our staff out there. It was a hot day, but everybody was happy, and I tried to go to every single station so you could skip a couple of pictures. Oh, this is a different one, but so another thanks to all the high school that actually came and performed. They was performing really well, and people were clapping all that, but this is just one of the group I got a chance to have picture with. And like I said, I tried to go to every single station. I got to do the paint with the group. So this picture right here is congratulations to high school, Garden Grove High School. 3 teams that went to the contest. All 3 teams won the award. The first place was Garden Grove High School. They got the first place. Each team member get $1,000. And then the second team was the Borside that was in District 3. And they won the third place, that each person will got $500. And then the last team was Los Amigos, that they won the People Choice Award. So just want to, I'm so proud that, high school, Garden Grove High School were doing so well. People were there over there were just clapping, and they said, wow, look at that. Every single team went and won the award. So just want to shout out to them. And then the last one in this picture is first time I get to kind of have interaction with the Chi-Chi TV3. Everyone was so professional. They treated other very respectfully. Every time they do something like, oh, may I do that? And they talking among each other. You could hear how they interact with each other. And I was so impressed with that. And of course, they want to make sure, the council member look good. So even the hair sticking out, they try to fix it and make sure it's just amazing. So thank you so much to the team for giving that attention to detail. I think that's it for me. Thank you.
First off, I want to speak a little bit about the retreat. Thank you, Councilmember John O'Neill, for bringing it up. We had a retreat at the Tower of Hope in Christ Cathedral. Because we got so much into our agenda, we didn't get to tour the whole campus of Christ Cathedral, but I would invite anybody locally or even outside of our community to come tour Christ Cathedral. It's one of our proudest and landmark in Garden Grove, and we continue to celebrate it. And thank you, staff, for organizing the retreat. I think it went very well, and hopefully we'll get a report on what are priorities that we ended up voting on. Maybe city manager would speak to that in the next meeting, give us a full rundown of the retreat, because it was a full day of all of us here and staff, especially the directors, the heads of the departments came and gave their report and weighed in on what are priorities in our agenda. And we do have a new incoming city manager, and thank you for having this wonderful event tonight. And we didn't get to take pictures together, and I was late because I was enjoying the snacks. And so sorry for keeping everybody waiting for a few minutes there. But what I see is the partnership with the community, not bringing in just the local businesses, but having them come to our city, contributing. Just, 7 Leaves is a wonderful business in our locality. We had the Arab Americans who came in with their acceptance of our proclamation, and thank you, Mayor and Council, for that. I see the same people advocating for Little Arabia in Anaheim, and it hurts me that they haven't been recognized. So recognizing Arab American Month is very special and very important, and we should do that for all our communities. And I thank the Mayor and our Council for voting for that and bringing them in for that recognition. But I also want to see the other movements that needs recognition, particularly the item on the proclamation or resolution. I want to vote for that. So I do want to see that on the agenda, and that's a good start. It's a first step. It's not going to be the end of the story. There's a lot more for us to work on. We're going to go all the way to getting an ordinance in front of the city to vote. And I'm going to ask our attorney to look into an ordinance for a smoke-free multi-unit. So we're taking baby steps towards the right direction. And thank you for coming and advocating for it. And I think this movement will grow to many cities. It's not going to be limited to Garden Grove. We can set a good example, and I want to do that, okay? So I think a majority here. We already have 3 other members that are behind this, okay? And I think our other members will be behind it, and our mayor too. So let's keep working on it, little baby steps at a time. But I want to be on the forefront of that. So I'm very proud to have all of you come and speak to it and keep working hard, and other cities will follow our lead. We want to be a leader. We don't want to be a follower, okay? So let's take those baby steps and work together. Lastly, I want to thank Councilmember Cindy Tran coming in with these photos. It's great because we're all very busy. We're not out in the community. We don't get to see all this. So it's very important just to give ourselves 2 minutes to see what's going on in our city. I need to see that. I'm not out there. And Cindy's like our at-large person. And she's reporting back to the whole community, and that's a service that I can appreciate. Thank you, Cindy.
Thank you.
Stephanie.
Thank you. 2 things. I don't often bring legislative matters in front of the council very often, but I wanted to bring up and highlight AB 742. AB 742 is, in my opinion, a bad bill. If passed, would prohibit the use of police dogs for arrest and apprehension, as well as crowd control. I think all of us up here obviously know the asset that our K-9 team brings to the city, and obviously in support of the Garden Grove Police Department. I believe that this bill, an opposition letter to oppose this bill, is within the parameters of kind of our legislative platform as a city. I myself could just send a letter by myself, but I would appreciate and if my colleagues would sign on with me to send a letter of opposition to the state on AB 742. Okay.
Can we take action on that? Just to
Thank you.
direct staff?
Well, if normally you do need to put it on the agenda.
Okay,
as an action
then
item.
I'll make a motion to agendize that, and I think I got my second then.
Well, it's already part of the.
I thought it was part of
It's
our-
already part of the
platform,
legislative
yeah.
Platform, so I don't think we need to.
'Cause I think I could have sent
As
it.
long
That's
as we
what
vote
I'm
on it
asking.
tonight, we
Do
can
we
do it.
need a formal action, or can it just be considered a
Yeah.
direction?
It's more about just wanting to share this with my colleagues and let them know and have them the opportunity to vocalize their opposition as well, so that we can send the letter.
And I think getting it done 2 weeks sooner is.
I'm all for that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And staff has conferred with Chief Alfara that he is in support of the opposition, and also it is consistent with the current legislative platform to enhance and measures, to advance measures that encourage community safety and well-being. So we can send it on behalf of the already passed legislative platform.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. I appreciate it, colleagues. Thank you.
So should we vote on it? or
Right,
just-
thanks. No vote. No need to vote.
And then I had one other matter that I wanted to bring up this evening. Ruby Garcia, I think she's still here. She's the founder of the Andy and Aiden Safety Group. She had a fantastic autism day at Atlantis Park over the weekend. But she'd also made mention that Autism Awareness Day is coming up April 1st. And she asked about potentially lighting the clock tower blue. I know we have done that in the past. If possible, I would like to try to motion this evening if we can, and I think it would have to kind of be an action item of sorts since obviously April 1st is barreling down on us. If we could light the clock tower blue for 1 week, the first week in April, I think that would help sort of cut down and mitigate some cost as well as potentially patrolling of the clock tower due to potential vandalism. So if possible, I would like to light the clock tower blue for Autism Awareness Day for the entire week of April.
We already have the colored lights, right?
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask.
I
Did you
think-
check
I don't
on
think
the
we have to even
logistics
expend
of-
any.
I have checked on the logistics.
I thought we lit it blue for autism prior.
We have in the past, yes, but we haven't.
We have in the
last-
past, but just at council direction, we don't have an ongoing policy for that. We do require at this time to rent the lights.
Right.
So the cost is approximately $500 for 1 week. And the lights are available and we can have it lit in time for the first week of April.
Well, it's Autism Awareness Month, right?
Yes.
Let's just bite the bullet and do it for the whole month.
Well, actually, I spoke to Chief Alfara, and he agreed that a week would be better. There is a certain cost associated with having to patrol the clock tower due to vandalism and thievery and obviously degradation of the light system. So I think to kind of quell that potential cost, he agreed that 1 week would be better than a month. So I'd like to take the week if we can.
I'll second it.
This is not agendized, but you're taking it as an urgency item.
An urgency item, yes, and so the time is of the essence.
Motion and a second, call to vote.
Okay, I'm going to add it first.
You have to vote on the urgency first. Is that how that works?
Yes.
Yeah.
We have to take that separately? Okay,
Yeah.
so,
So you vote on the urgency first.
Okay.
Once you have that vote recorded, then you can have it for discussion.
Okay.
I'll move the urgency.
yeah, I think we already have a,
Okay, we got
yeah,
that.
we have motion and a second for
Okay.
urgency.
We're just doing it.
Okay.
Motion received, 7 yes votes.
All right, and then we also have a motion and a second for blue lights.
Yes.
Call to vote.
Okay, let me add that one too. First week of April.
Yes, thank you.
Motion received, 7 yes votes.
Thank you very much.
Kim?
On that note, I'd like for us to look into purchasing lights so that we don't have to rent them. I thought we had a long discussion about this when we tried, I don't know that we actually did it well, but we tried to light up the clock tower in rainbow colors for Pride Month. I thought that we were purchasing lights and we'd be able to switch them out. I remember George Buddingham talking about lighting it green
was
for
my
St.
idea,
Patrick's
too.
Day
Yeah.
and like for all the other holidays, and it was just going to be a thing that we did, and I thought that's what we were doing. So now that I realize we're not, maybe that's something we have to look into and have ready to go before Pride. If we could, City Manager, I'd like to have staff look into that if possible.
We can absolutely follow up on that, and just from what I understand, and Maria can confirm, we are working with the Garden Grove Community Foundation that may likely include this as part of their project in the coming months, and which would address the comprehensive lighting within the clock tower.
And I would just also recommend that we look into potentially lighting up, like having the lights on the palm trees instead of on the clock tower, so we can have them higher up. One, for better visibility, but also so that there's less likelihood of vandalism. Maybe something to consider.
We'll provide that feedback to community service staff that's working in collaboration with the Community Foundation.
Awesome.
I don't know what the lifespan is on those lights, but it's probably a lot cheaper than spending $500 a week every time if we owned them ourselves, right?
And so with that, my comment for tonight is going to be that April is Sexual Assault Awareness Month. We did pass a proclamation, which we do every year. As many of you know, I am a survivor, so this is deeply personal for me, and I love that my colleagues have always continually been really supportive of that with me. The day of action is Thursday, April 6th, and we always highly encourage people to wear teal and take pictures and hashtag. I will probably provide an update for everyone via email so you know exactly what to share and post. And then obviously the most coveted day, Denim Day, which is Wednesday, April 26th, that I will probably share at a different council meeting with more details for the history and background, but wanted to flag it for everyone to remember now. Wednesday, April 26th, we typically do a picture in front of the big chairs across the other side, and we invite folks from all over the community. We do have a lot of other elected officials at higher ranking offices that come from around Orange County, so I'd love to have more of my colleagues there. And remember to wear your denim, tag, post, and share. And that's it for tonight.
I asked staff to announce the large item pickup. I didn't want to forget that, especially in light of Councilmember Pro Tem Brightingham bringing up how we should be get with the times. That this
It's in Stephanie's district, right?
It's in mine.
Oh, okay.
This will be in mine, District 4. So I'm on the hook for this one. Please announce.
Mayor, members of the City Council, there's a couple announcements I wanted to highlight. So yes, we have in District 4, we have our Community Cleanup Day. It's scheduled on Saturday, April 8th, and from 9 a.m. to 11. And it will be held at the Garden Grove Unified School District. The address is 10331 Stanford Avenue, and we will be working with Office of our Community Relations to highlight that on our social media platforms. In addition, this coming weekend on April 1st, we have a compost giveaway. So to pick up compost, the address is at our Garden Grove Municipal Service Center. The time for pickup is from 8 a.m. to 10:30, and the address is 13802 New Hope Street. And compost is limited to up to 60 gallons per household for Garden Grove residents, and to bring your own buckets for that. And thank you to Councilmember O'Neill and Councilmember Dovin for highlighting the council retreat. Staff will be bringing back a report to the council in the next meeting or the meeting thereafter. That we're working through the final report that you'll see and review shortly. And lastly, I just wanted to thank the City Council for a wonderful welcome reception earlier today. It's warm and touching to have members of our Garden Grove community be present to really support this new journey for myself, and truly blessed to have an extraordinary organization of staff and department directors to carry forward this new path. So thank you again, and that's all I have. Thank you.
General Counsel, any need for a closed session or anything to report out?
Nothing today, Mayor. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Tonight's meeting is going to be adjourned in memory of Nguyen Din, a young man of 20 years old who tragically lost his life in an automobile accident. Words are not enough to express the loss of a young man who had so much life in front of him. Nguyen Din worked part-time for the city as a lifeguard at Woodbury Pool, and off-season as an office attendant at the Sports and Recreation Center, while attending Cal State Fullerton studying to become a mechanical engineer. He was also very involved with his scouting group, Lin Duan Chi Lin, mentoring younger kids on wilderness and life skills. His family and friends are heartbroken, and in the words of his cousin Tiffany, he was a gentle giant who strived to become a big teddy bear to everyone. The passing of a life is always hardest on those left behind, and the passing of a young life, so full of promise, is especially difficult. Our deepest condolences to Nguyen Din's family and friends. And with that, we will stand adjourned.